The Prince and the Sorceress, Chapter 3. Story by Ricka Middlecoop. Brooke awoke the next day at first light. She ran downstairs and grabbed the basket by the door. "My, you're up early," her mother said. "I hadn't even set the table for breakfast yet. Here, give me a hand." "Okay, of course, Mom." Brooke turned around and helped her mother. "We're having bread and water, and some of those lovely blackberries you found yesterday. After breakfast, you can help me make some proper jam with them." "Mom, I was hoping to go out foraging again today." "Oh, you don't have to do that, honey. You found plenty yesterday." "But I want to." "Bring a pitcher and see if you can find some more water," her father yelled from the top of the stairs. "Good morning, dear. I was just telling Brooke how I needed her help making jam after breakfast today." "Don't be silly. I can help you with the jam. Clearly our Brooke's got a talent for foraging." "We don't need her running off into the woods by herself. It isn't safe." "It's plenty safe," the old miller insisted. The old couple bickered through breakfast, not once acknowledging Brooke or her opinion. After the table was cleared, Brooke grabbed her basket and a pitcher and quietly headed for the door. "Oh, very well, if you insist on going," her mother interrupted. "Do try and be back by noon." "Yes, Mother, I will." Brooke opened the door and headed out. "Hold on a minute. I think that pitcher is cracked. Let me take a look." Her father followed her outside. "Oh no, the pitcher's fine." "Where did you go yesterday?" The old man cut his daughter off. "What do you mean? I just went out into the forest." "You left our village, didn't you?" "No, I didn't." Brooke looked into her father's eyes. "Yes, sir, I did. But I only just went past the border trees. They were in my sight the entire time. I never went into another village." The old miller stared intently at his daughter for another second, then broke into a large smile. "Well, that's fine then. Don't forget, look for some water. And be home on time or your mother is going to have another fit." "Yes, sir. Thank you, Dad." Brooke hurried off into the woods. Brooke came to the clearing and stopped. Gingerly, she placed the basket and the pitcher at the outskirts of the clearing. She approached the stone and knelt amongst the flowers. The runes were once again foreign. Slowly, she rubbed them as she had last time, and the words began to change. She read them aloud. "O one of magic, hear my plea. Upon this stone I summon thee. Speak her name, loud and clear. The sorceress will appear." Just like last time, Brooke felt like the stone itself was staring back at her. She looked around, but saw no one. She stood up and walked back to her basket and pitcher, untouched and both completely empty. She returned to the stone, seeing that the words had once again faded, giving way to unreadable runes. "Maybe I'm just going crazy," she thought out loud. "Maybe I'm just..." Brooke paused, looking at her hands resting amongst the flowers. "Say her name." Brooke turned to the stone, placing her hand on it. "Heather!" she spoke. The rock began to shine beneath Brooke's fingers. The wind suddenly picked up, throwing her basket and pitcher across the clearing and whipping her hair around her face. Strangely, neither the branches on the trees nor the flowers by her feet seemed affected at all. There was suddenly a large flash of smoke. The wind stopped. The stone no longer shined. And atop it sat a strange young woman. "Hello, how can I help you?" The woman spoke very matter-of-factly. Brooke fell back in shock. Trying to stand, she stammered, I, hello? "How can I help you?" the woman repeated. What? The sorceress stood on the stone, sweeping her arm around the clearing. "You summoned me. How can I help you?" "Oh, right, of course." Brooke ran and grabbed her pitcher and basket. "Yesterday, I was left blackberries and kindling in my basket. Was that you?" "Yes." "Thank you," Brooke said, bowing her head. "You didn't summon me just to thank me, did you?" the sorceress asked. "No, I didn't." She took a deep breath. "My name is Brooke. I'm a miller from Miracle Springs." The sorceress sat back down on the stone. "I know that place. Never been personally. Decent flour. Great eggs." Brooke continued. "We're in the middle of a drought. It hasn't rained in weeks. Our spring keeps getting lower. Farming is hard. And foraging is getting even harder. Standard side effects of drought," Heather said, stone-faced. "There was talk of trying to find a way to end it. Is that something you can do? Can you help us? Can you end the drought?" Brooke pleaded. "Help you? Yes. End the drought? No. Alleviate some of the side effects? Yes." "Oh my gosh, thank you so much!" Brooke exclaimed excitedly. Heather stood up and jumped off of the stone. "Thank me for what?" she said flatly. "For helping us with the..." Brooke paused as she realized. "Will you help us with the drought? With the side effects, at least?" Heather's blank expression slowly shifted into a grin. "You're pretty clever. And yes, I will help. Follow me." Heather headed down the path behind the stone. Brooke ran after her. The sorceress spun around and started walking backwards. "My name's Heather. I know you know. But I didn't technically introduce myself." "It's very nice to meet you, Heather," Brooke said. "If you're a miller from Miracle Springs, I think I've met your parents. Elderly couple. Really like raspberry jam." "Yes, that's them. They said they've traded flour for jam before. But they can't agree if the jam is magical. Is it?" Heather smiled coyly. "For the most part, no. Some magic is used in preserving the jam, but that doesn't make the jam itself magical. However," she squinted at Brooke, "you had a really bad fever about 2 years ago, right?" "Yes. How did you know?" "You had elderberry jam, and then felt a lot better." "Why, yes. How did you know?" "Healing jam. I believe it's the only magical thing I've ever given your father." Heather turned back around. "However, if he's been at that mill his whole life, the last sorceress also gave him and his family the same healing jam." "My father's lived at that mill his whole life. His parents were the ones who built it. Last? Sorceress?" Brooke stared at the woman. Heather spun back around and started walking backwards again. There's been a sorceress in this part of the woods since before Miracle Springs was ever founded. It just hasn't always been me. She stopped suddenly at a thick row of trees. More strange runes were engraved in them. Heather stuck out her hand. I need some of your hairs. Brooke blinked. Okay. She pulled a few of the long brown strands from her head and placed them in the outstretched hand. Is that enough? Yes. Heather snatched her hand closed and walked through the trees. I don't really have a lot of practice as a host, but welcome to where I call home.